Yeah, well, it's from a club point of view, it's a weekend that we're really proud of, that we get to host in Adelaide for the 19th year. I think 19th year that we've now had Anzac round at home, which is it just goes to show what for us the respect that we have for our armed forces and our history as a football club, with the amount of people who have served and are still serving that are associated with Port, but more generally, it's just to recognise what the armed forces do for us all and have done for us all in the past and today.
Finally called up Ollie Lord. What have you liked about him, particularly when you played him as a forward and a defender at times?
Yeah, we've developed him to give him an opportunity to be successful when he gets a chance to play AFL football, and some of the learnings you get as a defender holds you in good stead as a key forward, and Ollie will come in obviously and replace Charlie in that role, and he's in really good form. He's had a pretty remarkable turnaround from an injury he had early in January this year, which was pretty significant with his kidney, and he's back and playing really well and kicked 4 last week, and he deserves his opportunity.
What have you seen from him in that comeback, given it was only 3 months ago that he had that significant injury?
The good thing about Ol is what he brings. He's quite combative, and he's replacing a very combative player for us. So we think that will certainly be like for like, albeit not necessarily at the same experience levels as Charlie has, and the size, because Ollie's still physically developing as well. So, but he brings an intensity that we really like, and I think that's what we're looking for as much as anything. Just buy into playing a contested game of footy.
Is that an intensity that you're still wanting to see from Mitch Georgiades at a lower level then?
That's an intensity that we expect from all our players, regardless of individuals. But that's a baseline that we need from everyone to play AFL football, and Ollie has that in spades.
You had a fairly long conversation with Mitch yesterday. Felt like, or it looked like, not a body language expert, that he was a bit dejected. Can you give us any insights into what those conversations? I'll generalise because I know you're trying to be on Mitch and Mitch alone, but we've got a lot of players at the moment. We've got a really fit squad who are somewhat disappointed that they're not playing AFL football, but that's what you expect everyone to be like who's on an AFL list, and they want to do their absolute best to get in the AFL program and play on AFL game day. But sometimes it's a challenge. Sometimes you've got lots to learn and lots to work through, and Mitch is one player who's working through that, as is a number of other players. So Tom Cleary's down there playing in the SANFL as well. There's plenty of good players who are not in the AFL. So sometimes it's outside their control, and sometimes it's inside their control. And they're all working to improve themselves, whether their first year on the list, or their 3rd or 4th or 5th year on the list, or their Tom, who's been here in his 11th year. So they all have some challenges.
How's Scotty's mindset at the moment?
Scotty understands exactly where he's at and what's going on. To be fair, he's trying, and I think Scott's had a real crack to try and get his form back to a level that we need him at, and he needs himself at. But we've probably just given him an opportunity to take a breath now, I think, and made sure that he just goes back to the SANFL and just works with a bit of confidence and plays with some belief, because sometimes the harder you chase it, the harder it gets to hang on to, and he's trying with everything he's got. I have great respect for Scott. I think he's a really important part of our footy club.
We're not short of ruckman at lower level, but why did you choose Teague or others who have been rucking and he's been playing as a defender? What made him stand out for this game?
Look, again, it's a bit like the Ollie Lord conversation. We're developing all our players in different areas, and some of our challenges, when we have 2 or 3, or at the moment 4, 5 ruckmen on our list, it makes it a little bit more challenging to put them into positions in games. But we think that Bryn's actually got capability to play in all 3 areas of the ground, whether that be an attack as a forward, down back as a defender, and obviously as a ruckman, which is where we drafted him in the mid-season. And I think we've all seen what he's capable of in the ruck. We've been continually working with his ruck crafts. It's not something he hasn't done anything of, but we're also developing other parts of his game at the same time. We know he'll come in and give great effort.
The standard line is you always respect the opposition, but the state that West Coast is in, there's also an expectation that Port Adelaide's got an opportunity to win and win well. How do you read that?
Yeah, you probably know. My answer is around this competition and how this competition does things that it's unexpected all the time and not expected. From my point of view, we're not a footy club that takes any chances. We come out to play as best we can play every week. And I know some people can sit there and make some assessments, but if you get 1 wrong this week, or you get 2 wrong this week, or you get 3, and some people will probably get 6 or 7 wrong with their selections. I'm not going to take a chance. We as a footy club won't take a chance. We respect the West Coast Football Club. We know what Adam's doing there, and we know that they've had some challenges with injuries. And we appreciate that we've got an opportunity here tomorrow to play at home and front and on a round that's really important to us, and we need to play the right way.
You spoke before about Mitch's confidence, but what else specifically do you need to see from him at that level?
Oh, Mitch is really clear with what we're looking for.
Are you concerned, though, given that there's plenty of interest from the two WA clubs and he's out of contract?
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm really... Mitch is learning. He's learning to play football at the highest level still, and he's had a remarkable start to his career, but it's never always going to be continuous and smooth sailing. Most young players, and I'll reference back to one that I have in our team now, is a really important player, Todd Marshall. The amount of conversations I've had over my journey around Todd Marshall, now it's turning to Mitch Georgiades a little bit. And I appreciate that. Mitch is a young, talented player who may or may not have some interest from other clubs. That's not for me, that's for his management to take care of. But I know how Mitch is invested in our footy club, and I wouldn't have thought from a moment that Mitch is not thinking about anything other than Port Adelaide.
Can you specify what some of those things are that Mitch is working on?
Like every young player, they're working on all parts of their game, in offence and defence and contest.
The contract situation of Mitch is obviously very different to Todd's.
No, it's not. It's not. It wasn't in the past. It's never been in the past. They all come out in and out of contract. That's their right.
What gives you confidence if he's got more playing time potentially and more money on the table back home that Port Adelaide is the place for Mitch to be?
Sorry, I didn't quite get. You said more confidence that he's got more playing time back home.
Potentially, and you know, a big money offer from the West. What gives you confidence that?
I think they're unknowns. I think they're both, and I'm not going to speculate on what is unknown to me or to us as a football club. I think the reality is we know and have shown over a good period of time that people who are invested in our program typically make decisions around staying in our program.
Does Charlie just miss 1 week?
We're hopeful. I won't sit here with 100% guarantee that it's 1 week, but we're hopeful it's 1 week. He trained yesterday to a point where we thought about it, and it's like this is a bit silly. He's too important to us. And if it's not 1 week, we hope it's only 2 weeks, but we don't know. He's got a knee injury that you get to a point where you think they're okay, but you've got to see it be done.
The team's making a bit of a comeback. Are you confident this can be sustained?
Sorry?
The team's making a bit of a comeback. Do you feel confident that this is going to be sustained?
Comeback.
Comeback.
Round 5. We're making a comeback. Sorry, it's not a comeback. It's an AFL season. We're in the middle of it, and we're working really hard to stay competitive and win as many games as we possibly can. I think every team, if we're in a comeback, I think every team in the competition is in a comeback at the moment because I think no one's undefeated.
Ken, Tom Jonas moved pretty freely yesterday.
Yeah.
But it's not just the physical stuff, it's also his confidence about being able to perform. Where's he at after a week out? How much does that help?
Yeah, well, I think we're giving him the best chance to play confidently and play the football and believe in his own ability to play football that he possibly can by giving him that week off and freshen him up with his physical challenges. That's been a challenge for Tom. We all know he's a combative player and we all know how hard he goes. Sometimes you've got to protect him from himself, and he'll go there and try every week, but hopefully giving him the opportunity to be fresh this week gives him a chance to come out and play like Tom that he wants to play like. And lead like Tom, which is really important.
Sorry. How is Junior going this week?
Yeah, good. I mean, he's had the opportunity already to play against the West Coast in the pre-season. It wasn't a highlight game, but it was a game that the first time you play against your old club, I'm sure there's some anxiety and there'll be some of that and nerves in his preparation for tomorrow. But he's really comfortable that he's a Port Adelaide player now. He's got great respect for West Coast. He'll be going out there against some great mates, but he knows that he's playing for Port and he's got great mates at Port now, and he'll be doing his best to help us get a win.
You mentioned West Coast struggles. Do you sort of always feel for Adam at the moment, given how he's going?
No, I think injuries are a part of AFL football seasons, but yeah, if we're allowed to for a minute, we're grateful for our healthy list at the moment when you see, but we've had that in the reverse too. We've had the unhealthy list at times, but it's football, it's AFL season. We're all going to go through it at some point. We're missing some good players.
Is the greater speed and athleticism in the game, is that hurting Scott or Skinner at the moment?
No, I don't think so. I think he's a combative player who's always used his his aggression in the contest, which has been his one wood. And at the moment he's just struggling to be at his absolute best. But I don't think it's any extra speed in the game. The game's fast, which I suppose is great for everyone to watch. But when you're talking about ruckman, there's not too much that's fast about big ruckman. They usually are pretty combative. So as long as he gets his combative stuff right and he's around the ground. Intensity and effort to go to the right spots for him and us, that will make a difference for him.
Because the start of the season you were challenged to have your players tackle because those numbers were down. Now you've got to be concerned about how they tackle. How are you handling that one? Because it's at risk of losing players to just doing a simple...
Yeah, I think it's what I've liked is it's pretty clear. I think it's been pretty clear with what's allowed and what's not allowed now, particularly with obviously a sling tackle. And we've had a player be suspended for it so I can speak about what happened with us. There was a time, and no doubt a time, where we would have said that was not that bad, not that bad of action, but we all understand the importance of protecting the head, and I think now we're doing that really, really clearly, and I think players understand it.
But is it really that clear? Because the difference between being cited, reported, suspended is simply if the opposition player has his head touch the ground, which might not be in your control.
Yeah, I've found it pretty clear, so I can only talk from what I've found. I've found it pretty clear, and I think I look at most of the ones that I've seen that have been cited, and I go, yeah, I can see now that that's a wrong action, and that you're going to be in trouble for doing that.
So
And does it make it any easier for players? Probably not. It makes it a little bit more challenging, and they've got to be aware of that, but players adjust pretty quick.
Is it harder to train them?
No, it's not harder to train them. It's just it's a bit more the instinct. The instinct is to tackle aggressively and ferociously, and we don't want to hurt people doing that, but that's been the instinct for a long time, but I think it's changing quite quickly.
Confident Orazio can string games together from here on to the back.
Yeah, we are. I mean, we're always hopeful that we've got a great medical team, so I've got no reason not to be confident that he can. For him, he just probably, it's why you're asking the question, I assume, is that he's had this poor run for a long period of time, so he needs to believe, and he needs to have some confidence that with the support of the medical team and everything that we're doing, and we're doing some more stuff as much as we possibly can to give him every chance. We think he will, and he's got a quad strain, which is not the end of the world, but it seems that it's a soft tissue issue for him, so we're managing that really well. But yeah, I think he's got a body of work this pre-season that he hasn't had in the last 12 months, so that gives us greater confidence that he'll be able to get through this year. Yeah, not a little, probably a lot, but the captain's coming back in, so that's what happens sometimes, and Tom deserves his spot back.
How's Jason been this week?
Yeah, good. Yeah, he's good. He's preparing really well for another game of footy, so we're excited for him and us to get a chance to play tomorrow.
Have you been happy with pleased by the response? It feels like that the general response has been in support of how you spoke after.
No, if that is the case, I'm glad that if we get some response, that it's the supporting young players, and I think that generally that's what I'm talking about, supporting young players and being careful about how we treat them and talk about them. So if that's the case, generally, I think, yeah, I'm pleased that's the outcome.
Ken, does repeated injuries for Orazio out of contract? Oh, sorry. Does it make it difficult for him in the future then?
No. No, the greatest thing is he's got to control, and we've got to control what we can control, and that's the immediate time. Right now, we've just got to get him back fit and firing, because we know fit and firing and playing well. I think there's not a person in the room that would doubt his talent.